Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for joining this session with us. Today, we'll go through the SOC. What are its main components? What are the challenges what that you may face when you're getting into deploying a SOC, and how you can have that an effective SOC solution in your organization. So let's see what's the importance of SOC. As a brief, in this today's digital landscape, cybersecurity has never been more important. With the rise of complex cyber attacks, businesses now have to prioritize and improve their security posture in order to have their critical data, entrusted and retain customer trust also. Okay. So the Security Operations Center or the SOC is an important component for any comprehensive security strategy. The SOC acts as the central hub for monitoring, detecting, and responding to cybersecurity incidents. So these three major areas the SOC covers mainly. Let's see what we cover in this webinar. Okay, one second. Yeah. Yeah. In this webinar, we will look at the importance of SOC in the cyber world, the common challenges that organizations experience during the design, deployment, and operational phases of SOC implementation. Okay, the slide has not come. I hope it's reflecting now. Yeah, yeah. So in this webinar, we will go through the importance of SOC in the cyber world. Okay, the importance of having SOC. Then the common challenges the organizations may experience when they get into the designing, deploying, and operational phases of SOC. Then importance of structured approach for overcoming these challenges that we will take a look. Then we will also look at requirements for right resources in terms of people, processes, and technology. So we will look at the backbone of SOC, these three areas. Okay. Then we emphasize on importance of having right strategies in place, including effective resource allocation, technological integration, and ongoing training to the employees as well as to the team that SOC is consisting of. Okay. Finally, we will compare between having an in-house SOC or a managed SOC, okay, to help you understand the benefits and the drawbacks of each option. Okay. Let's take a look at the importance of SOC. So SOC's main function is to detect threats. Okay, so you may have various technology solutions in place, like antivirus solution, email security gateway, or EDR solutions and things like that, which are there doing the protection part for you. But that is not enough in the cyber age. So we need to have uh, detection methodologies in place. So one of the key areas that SOC covers is the real-time threat detection. Okay, so because why the criminals these days are using advanced tactics to exploit vulnerabilities, making critical to the organization. So it has become critical for the organization to have the detection in place so that they can detect a breach or a compromise in the environment at the earliest. So SOC continuously monitors network traffic, system activity, using the SIM tool and some other subsequent tools to identify or to detect these breaches or security incidents. So detecting threat in the real time is crucial. Uh, the advantages of real time detection is that mostly these compromises are automated, like it could be a malware file or it could be a phishing attack, or it could be some other vulnerabilities that has been tried to scan through bots and things like that. So the breaches happen automatically because these services are programmed to have that compromise taken in, but the action on the activity after compromising the account happens a little later. Okay, but what we have seen is nowadays this time for breach and the acting upon a breach, by the adversary, has come down drastically. Like for example, in the recent months, we have seen that once some organization's account has been taken, then business email compromises have seen within 30 minutes. So they acted upon the session they have gained, and then they are working on it, and then started using malignant activities. So if there was no detection in place, then there may have been a huge loss. So in terms of reputation or in terms of critical data, okay, or compromises with vendors and things like that. So we need to have the detection threat in real time. Okay. Now, only having the detection is not enough. So we need, once a threat has been identified, we need to get into the incident response part. Okay, so there has to be something done to that incident, right? The compromised account or compromised session or compromised vulnerability, misuse vulnerability, all those things needs to be acted upon. So there has to be a incident response team who will be doing all these activities once there is a threat has been identified. So having a response team, incident response team is critical in terms of just having a SOC. Okay, so a well-structured incident response plan also helps the organization to react quickly. Okay, reducing possible damage. If even if the team is there, but they have not enough processes and enough structured plan of actions, then it will not be effective also. But all in all, there has to be somebody who could look at these alerts or reported incidents and act upon it in terms of identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and any lessons learned and future improvements plan. Okay, so having the IR team assures efficient incident management. Okay, and continuous training will help their response, increase their response times and efficiency. Okay, now so we have the detection capability in place, then we have the incident response team in place, but again the detection part may trigger a lot of alerts, unwanted alerts, so alert fatigue could happen. So that's where the threat intelligence will come into play. Okay, apart from what we are getting from the resources that have been integrated from your environment, okay, either be a firewall or a email security gateway or your servers, applications, all those things. Apart from that, threat intelligence also will help you to detect any potential vulnerabilities or potential risks in your network. You may not be there in an attack as of now, but the threat intel feeds help you to defend or be prepared to defend if there is any certain vulnerabilities or an outbreak happened in the same product that you are using. So it's good to have a threat intelligence. Actually, it's mandatory to have a threat intelligence feed in various sources. Like it could be file hashes, IP addresses, domain names, malicious email URLs, phishing email contents, okay, email providers or phishing as a service providers, all those things. So, and again, vulnerabilities of your products. So maybe a product vulnerability has been identified, a CV has been published. So all these threat intelligence feeds will help you to actually for the analyst also to reduce the false alerts, okay, and take proactive measures in terms of detecting. Okay, they can put in rules based on the like for example, you have particular application and you are public facing and your threatscape of getting attacked is very huge. Okay, so it's a public facing application and anybody in the world can access it. So now understanding that there is a vulnerability in that particular application, if that information is gained earlier using threat intelligence, then the SOC could can place various defense mechanisms and things like that to prevent or to detect when some attacks happens on those environment. Okay, so the threat intel basically is a community kind of solution where the it's collected from the log sources where from all the integrations that has already done. Then it includes industry reports, CV publishings, and other threat intel feeds. Also, there is a community between sources, and the shared data information will also be used in terms of threat intelligence. Okay, so this helps in identifying outbreaks, any targeted organization kind of attacks, or like maybe the power sector, the defense sector, or hospitality. If there are certain strains of attacks happening in against organization, threat intel would help you to have that early notified and take necessary action to defend as well as to detect. Okay? So threat intelligence is important. Then help comply with industry regulations. So SOC also help you to have your compliance requirements met. Okay, so either be GDPR, HIPAA, or PCI DSS. All these compliance may require you to have certain controls in place, as well as to have certain monitoring in place, so that any cybersecurity incident has been identified and acted upon, and remediation and the lessons learned and continuous improvement are in place. So the regulations, so meet the regulations, SOC will help you in terms of providing you with evidences that is required, so that with the evidence you can ensure that okay, you are in compliance with the requirements, and you have enough reports and things like that to produce when there is an audit. Okay, so the compliance related help will also come from the SOC. Now let's take a look at the common challenges in SOC implementation. Okay. Yeah, so the challenges perspective, there are two major challenges. That is, one is overall business objectives, and then second is the limited budget and the capabilities of the organization to run that particular service. Okay, so uh, the alignment phases, let's take a look at the design phase challenges. So there are design related challenges where organization has to define okay, what are their goals and what are their security pain areas, okay, and that needs to be addressed, and there could be compliance requirements also. So all these requirements has to be aligned properly, or has to be listed properly during the design phase, okay, and then a, a proper budget has to be has to be put in for that activity also. Now, if you're looking to have a SOC, people may take two different approaches. May try to bring in an in-house SOC, okay, or try to see whether that can be given as a managed services to a third party, okay. So if you're bringing an in-house SOC, then they have to look at all these other areas also during the design phase. Like for example, you have to have a proper technology in place. You need to choose which tools to be used, okay. You need to have people brought in new areas. So you need to have required analysts and required technology integrators, okay, and then you need to have other training and things also in place. Okay, so you may think that you can, or it may be possible to bring up your own existing managed services team to that level, but there could be always challenges in those as well. Okay, because there are security related knowledge missing and things like that. So you need to design all these during the design phase. You need to consider all these and then come to a conclusion which way you want to go. Okay, then based on the available budget, you need to see what tools to be and what phases that you can take in. So people may look at critical asset at first, okay, deploy and integrate the critical assets as phase one, and do small level monitoring, and then expand it to throughout the organization or things like that. So those kind of considerations can also be done during this stage, during the design phase. Okay, now once the design phase is completed, we will get into the implementation phase. Okay, so yeah. So during the deployment phase, you may come across these challenges like, okay, you may have very broad technology landscape. So you may have legacy applications, you may have applications in the cloud, okay, on SaaS platforms, you may have things in your on-premise data centers, okay, you may have heterogeneous operating systems, Linux, SUSE, Mac, all these will contribute challenge to the integration part. Okay, so you need to see the new tool that you are bringing in, new tools that you're bringing in as part of deploying a SOC should support all these integrations. Okay, and these and yeah, that integration, so they have to support. So there are different methods by which the logs can be collected. So any of those methods, these devices or security tools have to support, so that you may need to look at. And then again, integration, first part is collecting the log, then those logs has to be processed so that it will become meaningful for the system. So those activities could be another challenge. Okay. So that's one. Second is in terms of having the threat intelligence feed used. Okay, so sometimes people will procure threat intel feeds also as an additional add-on to a SIM solution. Okay, so these threat intel feeds will become kind of wastage if they are not integrated properly with the assets that you are having. Okay, so whatever feeds are coming in, that has to be utilized to the fullest, so that any alert that is coming in from the device that is integrated, for example, a firewall log, okay, it has thrown some alert related to a URL. Okay, now you may have threat intel feeds already warning about these URLs earlier. Okay, and if there was no proper integration, then uh, currently the firewall has allowed it and it is just popping an alert that it has allowed. But if you have that proper integration in place proactively, you could have blocked it and things like that. So having the threat intel feeds integrated to the solution is critical. Okay, so that some of the automated and proactive approach can be taken. Okay, now then the other challenge is the lack of training and knowledge. Okay, so uh, you see, so there are different technologies in play, right? So it could be network related technologies like firewall, routers, switches, then it could be application related. So web applications, APIs, okay, databases. So all these technology areas are in play here. Okay, so the team who was doing the implementation should know both worlds. So they should understand what is the SIEM tool and what are its capabilities and what features it can provide. And also they should understand what is the device that is getting integrated. Okay, it could be like a database, it could be a firewall or an email security gateway and things like that. So based on the technology area, the team should be knowing how and what are the critical things that needs to be collected and tagged for an alerting or detection capability. Okay, so that training has to be there, and that knowledge set has to be there. If for some reason constant training is also needed. Every day there are new technology areas bringing up, and organizations are adopting those technology areas. So the people who are managing the SIM should be aware of these new things, and they have to be kept on continuous learning process. Okay, so now let's look at operational challenges. So we looked at the deployment challenges, we looked at the design phase challenges. Okay, now let's take a look at the operational challenges. Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah. Okay. In terms of operational challenges, one of the major challenge that the team may face is alert fatigue. Okay. So there is a huge amount of data that has been collected from all the log sources that you have. Okay. And then initially, if you did the integration, you may end up with thousands and lakhs of alerts that is coming to your same system. Will not be knowing how to deal with it, how to minimize those. So there has to be that technology understanding to see which ones are the false alerts, okay, and which ones doesn't need any attention and can be suppressed, okay. So that is one challenge that we will come across. So somebody maybe you yourself deploy it, or you may get somebody has done it for you as a one-time process, okay. They may integrate, they may deploy the same solution, they may integrate it, okay, and then you may end up with a lot of alerts. So tackling these huge number of data and alert fatigue is one area, the one of the challenges that while get into operations. So operations, by operations we mean like continuous monitoring. Okay, SOC does that monitoring part, right? So without monitoring they cannot detect. So while they are monitoring, they may come across with huge data and alert fatigue. Okay, then there could be log integration issues. Okay, so integration issues include all devices do not talk the same language, right? So there is a log structure for maybe a firewall have a certain log structure, but your application may have a different log structure. And to make sense out of it, it has to be normalized. Okay, so this different forms of log has to be identified, and then a proper understanding of how these devices share the logs or send out the logs has to be there, and they have those logs has to be normalized so that it can correlate. Okay, we can correlate with the firewall log and the application log and identify threats. Okay, so based on these normalization activities only, the alerts can be prioritized by correlating with different sources, and then criticality can be identified also. Okay, so integration challenge will be this. Okay, so there may be certain limitations with certain implementation. Okay, maybe that application does not support all these formats, and then there is a huge task for the operation team to have these normalization in place. They have to have proper mapping of the fields and things like that. Okay, so this will be another challenge. Once you tackle the huge volume, you will come across this particular challenge. Okay, then the third is, yeah, so being on the war foot, so keeping everything up to the mark for the defense. Okay, so it's evolving every day, right? So you are seeing now attacks based on AI and ML being used for attacking. Cyber security has kind of become mostly automated with these tools also. Okay, so and they are very, very smart as well. So your team who are managing it, you are defending your environment, okay, who are there as detectors, or they have to be keeping up with these evolving threats. Okay, so they have to be get informed about all these new emerging threats, especially against those assets that they are monitoring. Okay, so there are certain OEMs involved and certain products involved. So all these the analyst team also should aware, and they have to be keep watch of what are the new ones that are coming up against those assets. Okay, and then they have to always have a community references available in terms of threat intelligence sharing as well as other knowledge bases also. Okay, so without keeping up this, then the SOC will not be effective. If you don't improve, or if you don't continuously improve, it's not good to even to say that there is a SOC, because that will not be effective. So these are the challenges that you may come across when you try to deploy or to have your own SOC. Okay. Now let's see how we can tackle these things. Okay, how we can approach these challenges. Okay, so first thing is to have that structured. So all those planning, deployment, all those things needs to be in a structured way. Okay, so designing the SOC, yeah, overall you need to have a structure in place. Okay, so we will discuss on those people, process, and technology in the next slide. So you will have this structure part. Okay, then assessment needs to be done, proper assessment. Okay, assessment includes what assets you have, what are those critical assets, what are your pain areas in terms of entry points. Okay, then people, how the people are doing their involvement or their understanding of the cybersecurity threats and things like that. Okay, so all these have to be taken in consideration, and even your future plans. So if you are trying to move to cloud or bringing in new tools, okay, all those things has to be assessed before getting into a SOC. Okay, then resource planning, yes, so you have to have proper teams for the monitoring, that is the detection part. Okay, and the incident response. So something has been detected, there has to be somebody to respond to it and do the mitigation activities. So you have to plan that. Then you have to have threat analyst, threat intelligence analysts, and things like that. Okay, we'll go through that when we look at the people, process, and technology part. Okay, then related to technology requirements also, you have to define them. Okay, like you have to define what all technologies that you need to bring in so that you can detect at the earliest, and if needed you can take automated response capabilities also, IR capabilities, XDR, EDR kind of solutions, which can help you in with remediation activities also. Then you need to have a plan for ongoing training. Okay, so continuous training for the employees throughout the organization, as well as for your SOC team and the incident response team. They can have their own internal training programs arranged so that they are up to mark in terms of processes and technology. Okay, so to have a structured approach will help you to mitigate some of those challenges. Okay, now let's take a look at the right resources. So how and what all you need in terms of having the SOC done. Okay, so so let's take a look at the people part. Okay, so this is after the deployment. So whatever mentioned here is after the deployment. For deployment, you need specialized people so that the integration can be done. But that deployment could be one-time activity. It may remain even 30 days to 6 months based on whatever scenarios you have. So they have deployed a solution for you. Now there need to be somebody who is doing the monitoring, for the detecting and the IR and things like that. Okay, so in that aspect, you need to have a SOC manager, okay, who overlooks everything that is related to the SOC, okay, manages the team, manages the client, okay, and manages your requirements, the business needs, okay, and align them together with what is there, okay. So manager has to be well versed with the security aspect as well as the operational business operational aspect and the people management also, okay. Then you have security analyst, okay. Those are your hands and feet in terms of detecting any security breaches, okay. You need to have properly trained, well-versed cyber security analyst so that they can detect anomalies properly, okay, and act upon and notify if there is something that needs to be acted upon. Okay, and once the analysts bring in or bring forth a potential security incident, it has to be responded. So you need incident responders who could act on it and prioritize them, okay, and do the necessary containment activities. Okay, if it is a spread, like for example, a ransomware kind of attack has been notified by the analyst, okay, they may have found something which could be a ransomware attack initiating malware or application or things like that. So then there has to be swift action in terms of containment, okay, so that it will not spread across other systems, and then the recovery part and all those things has to be done. So you need keep very sharp-minded incident responders so that they can act on these incidents that has been reported and reduce the damage for the organization further. Okay, so you need to have specialized incident responders. Then another set of areas, another set of engineers or analysts is the threat intelligence analyst. Okay, so they are your means to see the unseen. Okay, so you need people who could look at things deeper. Okay, it may not be obviously an alert or an incident initially, but it looks like normal events and things like that, but there is something hidden. So these team will help you to detect those hidden threats, okay, and bring forth yeah, hidden things, and so that action can be taken. Okay, so you need a threat intelligence analyst team to have complete the monitoring and the response part in the SOC. Okay. Now, so from the people perspective, these are the areas that you need to look at. Now, from the process perspective, yes, you need to have uh, effective processes in place, including the detection capability. Okay, so it's the analyst that who does this activity, so they need to have their own processes defined in terms of prioritizing the events. Okay, standard operating procedures and playbooks and things like that may be needed for them to have the detection or to reduce the mean time of detection. So there is a this time frame that analysts use as a scale to see that how effective they are. Okay, so they have to meet that timeline. So so to improve that timeline, like from the time of the alert to the time that it is qualified as a security incident, they have to have a timeline in place, and then to help to reduce that timeline, they need these processes in place, either it be process related or procedure related events, okay, in terms of escalation, in terms of alert triaging. So all these documentation is needed so that they can work effectively. Then similar to the detection part, there is the incident response plan also based on the critical asset type. Okay, there should be well-defined processes so that incident response team can act. Okay, so sometimes, like for example, if you say that okay, there is some malicious communication happening from your environment, okay, and firewall is tagging, else allowing it, and the other IP is malicious, okay, and so there has to be some action taken, right? So the obvious action that can be taken is to block that IP. Now, sometimes incident response team need to have this authorization for certain activities. Okay, so certain activities can be predefined like this one. So blocking an IP can be predefined. So there has to be certain plans for the guidelines for the incident response team so that they can do their activities swiftly. Okay, so in terms of processes, we need to have these in place. So well-defined boundaries for them okay, and well-defined escalation charts so that they can involve all the stakeholders at the right time and take effective action. Okay, so in terms of processes, these has to be in place. And also, then there should be training also. So should be a constant plan for training and continuous improvement. Now let's take a look at the technology area. Okay, so in terms of technology, yes, you need to have all the logs collected. So there has to be a log aggregator, okay, which can collect and then normalize it and make it a uniform or usable data. So that's where the SIM comes in, SIEM. Okay, so the SIM collects all the logs for you, and then you can use that SIM to alert when there is a security incident. Okay, now we talked about threat intelligence, so those are the feeds, additional information, insights that can be provided through various communities and various providers. Okay, and that has to be integrated to the SIM. Okay, so that both of them together can help you detect any breaches or any security incidents at the earliest. Okay, then as an advanced level, you can look into have automation in place also. Okay, so automation, like I said in the previous example, so uh, to block something which is communicating to a malicious IP, you can have certain tools implemented so that response can be automated. Like for example, blocking an IP can be automated. Okay, so there are options for that. You can look into those solutions also. So some of the SIM come with that capability. Okay, some comes as out of the box. Okay, some comes as add-ons to it. Okay, so you can look in to get the automation and orchestration tools in place also. This also helps in reduce the alert fatigue. So if you bring in automation using machine learning and AI, you could reduce duplicate alerts. Okay, so that alert fatigue can be reduced. Okay, and then the actions or the tagging of particular repeated events can be done properly. There can be a ticketing tool, automated ticketing process in place so that analysts can evaluate previous occurrences and tag it to the newest ones and things like that. So orchestration and automation is another area that you can look in, and then you can have XDR, EDR solutions also. It is over the top of automations, okay, where the complete infra is kind of controlled and managed, okay, where certain aspects of response can be done, okay, irrespective of whether it is the central resources or it could be end user devices, okay, like laptops and mobiles, things like that. You may have an MDM in place, you may have an EDR in place for the laptops, okay. All these capabilities can also be integrated to the SIM and a coordinated response can be done. Okay, so these are the tools that you can look in terms of technology while implementing a SOC. Okay, so now let's summarize the strategies. Okay, so strategies is on business perspective. There has to be somebody guiding these in the organization. Okay, so they have to put these strategies in place. So first is to have that real-time monitoring in place, round the clock, 24/7. There has to be somebody looking at the security incidents or security alerts that are coming in. Then they can detect potential security incidents. Okay, then yeah, establish strong incident response planning. Okay, to have a response plan in place. Okay, and covering all the areas. Okay, whether automated, be it automated or be it manual. Okay, all those processes defined very well. Okay, then you can have threat intel feeds integrated, okay, and use AI and ML capabilities to take necessary tuning or even in terms of alert prioritization or in terms of alert suppression. Okay, use those tools or correlating with the threat intel, you could reduce the alerts. Okay, so all these capabilities need to bring in. Okay, then collaborate with external entities. Okay, so there can be constant communication with these vendors, consultants. Okay, so if there is something needs to be done with the product, okay, in terms of firmware upgrades or patching, vulnerability management and things like that. So having a collaboration with the OEM and their news feeds or their security feeds that will help to detect any new potential threats, okay, and take necessary action. Then, in terms of people management or people's capability to defend cyber attacks, so to have that complete continuous improvement in place, proper training, periodic training in terms of cyber awareness, as well as in terms of overall process and procedures, the compliance requirements and things like that. So these needs to be there in the into having the SOC run in an effective way. So the right strategies. Okay. Now, finally, we let's take a look at which way that you can go to whether to have an in-house SOC or to have that given out to a managed service provider. Okay. So, if you're looking in the in-house SOC, you can decide on like I said. So the SOC contains three things. So the people part is there, the technology is there, the process is there. So people and process kind of go hand in hand because those mostly will be the same people that will be following the process. So if you're going with an in-house SOC, you can decide where to be deployed, okay? Whether it can be in your head office or if you have a cloud infra, you can decide it can be there in the cloud infra itself, okay? On premise or on cloud, it can be deployed, the same solution, okay? And then you have full control over the data. So it will reside within your organization and it is not going anywhere. So if there is any compliance requirement per se, mostly it will be geo-based, but there are geo-based cloud options also available. But still, it can remain in your own on-premise. Okay, so in-house SOC in terms of data aggregation and data collection and saving, it will be on-premise or your own infra. Okay, but the downside of having an in-house is that there is high capex and opex. So you will be investing in the tools, technology, and the people. Okay, so you need to have the right people brought in. Okay, you need to have the right technology brought in, and skilled analysts and skilled SOC engineers are needed to have that deployment done properly, to have that threat intel feeds added and integrated to the solution. So all these things will bring in a lot of capex, and then operational cost will also be high because you are hiring those technology specialists and then you are using them. Okay, so that's another downside of having in-house. Okay, and again the integration. So like I said earlier, so there are different landscapes, the technology landscapes. So various assets are there, legacy applications are there. All these needs to be integrated to the solution. So it will be difficult for you to find somebody who could do everything at once. So you may need to invest more people who are specialists in those areas, either in the same solution or with the other technology areas, so that this integration can be done. And this will be again a time consuming, and it will take, yeah, 6 to 9 months to implement the SOC or to finish the integration activities. Okay. Now let's take a look at how it will be if you're going with a managed SOC. Okay. So managed SOC generally comes with the process and the people. So and the technology also, but still. So they have. I mean, you will get access to well-versed, well-expertised people who are specialized in the integration activities, specialized in monitoring and things like that. So the tool they will also bring in, so you don't need to worry whether the tool that you are procuring is going to fit or going to support all your assets. They will do that evaluation for you. Okay, and they will help you with, I mean, actually they will do the integration of these critical assets that you want to monitor. Okay, so you don't have the challenge of having expertise brought in. Okay, so you will get that from the managed SOC provider. Okay, then they will take care of all the security aspects of your IT infra. Okay, so they manages the security operation for you. They can provide you incident response capability also, so that you don't need IR specific team. SOC will also have provide the IR capable engineers. Okay, so you can focus on your business rather than focusing on the IT operation. So security, you can completely hand it over to the managed SOC provider, so they will guard you. while you focus on your business. Okay, and then these managed SOC providers come with expertise, so they know these assets. So most likely all these assets have been already integrated. So the deployment will be reduced from 6 to 9 months. It will be reduced to 30 to 45 days. Okay, so based on the asset, it may still increase, but still, since they are well versed with the integration, they know this asset landscape, so integration can be much faster, and the monitoring activities can be started at the earliest. Okay, so if you have in the tight compliance requirement, and you need to have the SOC set up within a short period, okay, managed SOC providers will help you in that aspect. So to have that SOC ready, and you can meet the compliance within a short period. Okay, and managed SOC generally provides 24/7 monitoring with all their team set. Okay, so the managers, analyst, the threat hunting analyst, okay, SIEM platform managers, all those people will be there available for you, and they will be protecting your environment 24/7 round the clock. Okay, and the SOC can again provide you with the compliance requirements, all the evidences that needs to be produced during the time of audits and things like that.